Hi, today we are going to be talking about LED light bulbs. Hi, my name is Carly Bell, and I'm going to be talking about LED light bulbs. Let's first talk about some questions in gold that our team had. So the first goal that we had was to test the energy efficiency of 60-watt equivalent LED light bulbs when compared to 60-watt equivalent incandescent light bulbs. We also wanted to learn more about how LED light bulbs have changed the way we live our lives and see how LED lights are a more efficient way to develop lights in the future. And as a mini team, we are going to be testing not only white LED lights but also color changing lights to test the efficiency of those lights when compared to incandescent lights. Here's a little overview. Some history for you. Incandescent lights were made in 1878, while the first LED light was not created until the early 1960s. And then the first bright white LED light was not developed until 1994. So that is quite some time that it has taken since lights have been developed. Since 1994, many colors have been created, and you can choose basically any color imaginable and probably find that color light bulb. LED light bulbs are a much more sustainable and energy efficient bulb versus the incandescent light bulb and are becoming increasingly more popular. So here's some criteria. First, we compiled a list of needs versus wants, things that our LED bulb had to have and then things that we wanted it to have. So for needs, we had that it must provide light because that is what a light does. We must be able to screw it into a lamp because that is what we're using to test it, and it must be more energy efficient compared to a regular incandescent light bulb. And then some wants that we had. We wanted color options. We wanted to see if we could control it, the brightness with a dimmer, the efficiency, and then the aesthetics of the packaging. Because whether we realize it or not, we always tend to lean towards something that has a little bit nicer packaging. So overall, we will be testing the basic LED light bulbs that meet the needs criteria list against some LED light bulbs that meet some other criteria under the wants category. So we're going to be testing some basic white bulbs and some basic bulbs that meet just the needs, and then also be testing some ones that fall under the wants. For instance, we are testing a color changing bulb that can do any color imaginable. And here's some food for thought and some questions that we asked when buying our bulbs. The first question was, what was the cost of the bulb? That was very important because we obviously only had $50 to spend for our mini team, and so the cost was very important because we had a budget to follow. We also asked, what is the lumen output compared to the price, so is it worth it? Is the bulb yellow, white, or color changing? Do we want LED bulbs or LED strips? We decided to go with bulbs because we thought it would be easier to test. What the size of the light fixture is, because there are different size sockets, so we had to make sure that it would fit the lamp that we were using. And then how much it would cost per month or year energy-wise to use in someone's house. So is it energy efficient? For our testing. So I'm going to talk about the procedure first. So we went into a completely dark room, and we had a lamp stand, and so the first bulb that we tested was the color changing bulb. So we put that bulb into the lamp, and first we measured the default color that you get when you turn it on. We used a meter stick to measure the distance, so we did 3 inches, 0 inches, 3 inches, 6 inches, and 12 inches. And we used the lux meter to measure the amount of lux at those different distances. Then with that color changing bulb, we chose the specific colors, which were red, yellow, and blue, and tested at those same distances. Then we took that one out and we tested the individual bulbs, so the individual red, individual yellow, and individual blue bulb, which you'll find out didn't go as planned. Now for our results. So here we can see the individual light bulbs. So you can see the lux for the red bulb, yellow bulb, and the blue bulb at different distances. Going back to the question that we had about cost, we only had a certain amount of money to spend, so we went towards a little bit cheaper bulbs and ran the risk of those bulbs not working, and unfortunately that is what happened with our blue bulb. All of the blue bulbs that we had individually were faulty, and so that is why the numbers appear as 0 for this testing score. But compared to the red and the yellow, they're both relatively high, especially the yellow. Now, if we take a look at our multicolored changing bulb, I know the numbers are a little bit harder to see here, but if you look at the numbers for the blue and the red and the yellow, we can see that the numbers here, especially for the yellow, is a lot smaller than the yellow that we saw in the individual bulb. So here is the table so you can see the numbers a little bit better. So here we have the MLT, which stands for the multicolored light. And so we have the default, the multicolored blue, the multicolored red, the multicolored yellow, the multicolored white, and then we have the individual red, yellow, and blue light. So although we have the faulty blue light for the individual bulbs, we can compare the red and the yellow from the individual bulbs to the multicolored red and yellow. And we can see that the individual bulbs themselves tested much higher and had a much higher lux rate than the multicolored light. So now for our conclusion. From that data, we gathered that individual bulbs perform better over the color-changing bulb. So even though we didn't have that blue to test, we can assume by looking at the results from the yellow and the red that the blue light would also test a lot higher than the multicolored blue light. So what we'd like to see in the future is development in the color-changing bulbs. And I think that color-changing bulbs are personally the way of the future. I think that over time they'll continue to develop so they can produce the same amount of lux as the individual bulbs themselves. And not only would this be better for the consumer because you're able to choose any color light that you could possibly want with a color-changing bulb, but it'll also be better for the environment because you'll be producing less individual bulbs and you'll have it all in one thing. I would also like to see that these brighter bulbs will have the same required voltage and that we can find a way to balance that brightness and the voltage. We can still have a nice bright light with a small amount of voltage and energy input and get the same results. So thank you so much for watching.